I guess it's high time, Disyembre na, para pag-usapan paano ba tayo talaga mag-i-invest sa 2025. Maybe a bit of a retrospect as to what's happening this year, how the year is ending up, and maybe looking forward to next year. Paano ba po talaga tayo didiskarte ng mas maganda in 2025? Hello mga ka-RFF, ito pong muli si Rex Mendoza ng Ramper Financials. Kamusta po kayo? Na-miss ko kayong lahat, medyo natagalan ang aking paggawa ng videong ito. Kasi talaga naman pong medyo naging busy tayo. Ipagpaumanhin nyo na pero marami pong ganap at maraming nangyayari. I guess it's high time, Disyembre na, para pag-usapan paano ba tayo talaga mag-i-invest sa 2025. Maybe a bit of a retrospect as to what's happening this year, how the year is ending up, and maybe looking forward to next year. Paano ba po talaga tayo didiskarte ng mas maganda in 2025? At siguro po, napakaganda is to also step back a bit and understand why things are the way they are for 2024. At talaga naman po, medyo may mga dampened hopes na naman. Akala natin nung una, 2022 will be the recovery year. Ang ganda ng umpisa ng taon. Pagdating sa dulo, nag-sputter at nalaglag ang market. Ganon din po yung 2023. And looks like 2024 is not an exception. Akala po natin nung medyo umakyat na yung market, fundamentally strong na itong bull run na ito at meron itong tinatawag na strong legs. Unfortunately, things happened again. And yan po, pag-uusapan natin to have a better appreciation paano ba talaga natin didiskartehan ang 2025. Kasi ganito po ang nangyari, hindi ba? Bandang July, medyo lethargic pa rin yung market, no energy, walang masyadong interest, and then all of a sudden, in August, things started to move up, carrying through up till the end of October and the very start of November. Akala nga po natin maganda na dahil nag-report ng earnings sa mga kumpanya. Okay naman. Some of them have even beat estimates. Yung marami naman in line, kakaunti ang hindi tumuntong dun sa kanilang mga tinatawag na inaasahang profitability. But then, something happened. Yan po yung election ni Donald Trump. And I guess, sa dami ng pwedeng mangyari, yun po ang pinaka-highlight na sinasabi ng marami na pinakamalaking impact sa ating merkado. Kasi totoo naman po, yung increase in the market starting in July was more performance-based. Nandyan po ang strong economic fundamentals, meron pong interest rate cuts na nag-umpisa ng mangyari, at syempre, ine-expect natin dahil sa interest rate cuts, bumababa din ng interest rates. So medyo may konting tinatawag na optimism about the economy and the way the economy will move in the future. Pati po, earnings growth, napakaganda for the second and the third quarter. Yun nga lang po, November 5 of this year, Trump got elected, parang biglang nagkaroon ng risk-off sa emerging markets ang mga foreign funds. Biglang-bigla po, napakalaki ng foreign selling. Alam nyo, middle of the year towards the end of October and early November, bumawi na po ang foreign funds eh. Nakakatuwa po na naging positive ang kanilang net buying in our markets. Biglang-bigla pong nabura yun eh. Kakaunting linggo after Trump got elected, risk off. Alis muna sila sa emerging markets and obviously kasali po ang Pilipinas doon. So, tingnan nga po natin, ano ba itong kinakatakot ng marami sa presidency ni Mr. Donald Trump? Kasi hindi pa naman po siya tumutungtong at nauupo bilang Pangulo ng United States of America. Pero marami na agad nag-decide na, itong magiging impact. Marami nang nag-anticipate ng kanyang magiging epekto sa merkado, not only in the United States but globally. So, pag-aralan nga po natin ito, ano ba itong tinatawag na Trump 2.0? Kasi alam nyo naman, next term niya na ito. Nasingitan siya ni Joe Biden, but this is his next 4 years. So syempre po, alam naman natin, ang talagang ibinabandera niya, America First Policy. Alam niyo, sa America First Policy, ang ibig sabihin niyan, uunahin niya ang Amerika. In which case, there would be a bit of protectionism sa kanyang galawan sa ekonomiya. Ibig sabihin, bibigyan niya ng proteksyon or lalagyan niya ng tariff ang mga imports para maging competitive ang American companies in their own marketplace. Yan po ay actually kontra sa tinatawag nating pag-push ng world trade. Alam niyo po, previously, there is a bit of a push of world trade para naman po yung mga mas maliliit na ekonomiya ay matulungan ng mas malalaking ekonomiya to be able to market their goods all around the place. And it actually forges what we call a bit of efficiency. Kasi, hindi ba, yung mga espesyalista sa ganitong produkto, yun ang gagawin nila. So magiging competitive sila sa iba't ibang merkado at makakaangkat din naman sila ng produkto at serbisyo ng ibang bansa kasi yun naman ay hindi nila pinuproduce sa sarili nilang mga markets. However, once a country becomes protectionist, ano po ibig sabihin? Aaruga po siya ng mga kumpanya na not necessarily competitive by forging tariffs. Ito po yung number 2, no? Trade and tariff wars with other participants. Like ang medyo pinagdidiskitahan niya yata ay China and some trading partners in Europe. Kasi hindi nga naman fair na sila ay nagpo-produce ng ganito tapos ang China binibigyan ng tinatawag na ayuda ang kanilang mga kumpanya na papababa because of incentives ang kanilang mga presyo. So nagiging ultra-competitive sila to the detriment of US companies. So ngayon, ang gagawin ni Trump, sabi niya, I will level the playing field and I will put tariffs to be able to make American companies competitive. So isa pa po dito yung questionable support ng Amerika sa ating rip with China. Alam nyo, syempre, mabigat din yung West Philippine Sea. It's a geopolitical tension that can probably escalate, no? So, syempre, gusto natin tulungan tayo ng Amerika. Mukhang si Trump hindi basta-basta tutulong at hindi basta-basta makikisali. Sabi niya sa mga nangyayari sa Russia at Ukraine, sa Israel at even sa Pilipinas. There is also an expectation of a stronger dollar because of Mr. Trump's policies. So, syempre, hihina ang peso, lalakas ang dollar. At syempre, yung mga fund manager, pag hihina ang peso, di syempre, kahit sabihin mo wala pang nangyayari sa merkado, lugi na sila. Dahil yung peso na binili nila, nagiging mas mababa ang value. So kahit, kunyari, umakyat ang kanilang investment, pag binalik nila into dollars, aahitan yun nung lower currency value. So maaaring malugi sila. Kaya ngayon pa lang, gusto na nilang maglipat ng kanilang investments sa mga bansa kung saan mas magiging malakas ang currency. And the US is expected to be strong. The US dollar is expected to be strong. Tapos, syempre, yun nga, yung kanyang immigration policy. So, alam nyo naman, sa Amerika, maraming Pilipinong undocumented dyan. So, syempre, pag napauwi dito yung mga yon, siguro, medyo 300,000 Filipinos undocumented. So, ibig sabihin, dati, nakakapagpadala pa sila ng pera dito. Ngayon, papauwiin sila dito. Syempre, magiging burden pa sila sa ating society. So, itong Trump 2.0, hindi pa nangyayari. Ito ay mga predictions pa lang ng mga tao sigun sa kanilang paniniwala sa magiging impact ng policies na yan sa ating bansa. Pero, gusto kong balikan kasi yung dati. Alam nyo, I always have this as a habit. When people project what's about to happen, I try to check history. Yan po yung nangyari nung Trump 1.0, nung nanalo siya nung 2016. Kasi sabi ko nga, second term niya na ito Nasingitan siya ni Biden ng 4 years. Alam niyo, na-realize ko, ganun din ang nangyari. Nung nanalo si Mr. Trump, ang daming natakot. In fact, even the US market dropped in the few early hours of his win. Then people realized, hindi naman pala ganun kasama And in the Philippines, it happened as well. Yung drop, pagkapanalo ni Trump, binawi yan ng 12 straight months na pag-akyat. So ang akin lang, baka naman mas maganda, intayin muna natin din ang magiging epekto nitong presidency ni Mr. Donald Trump. Lagi ko sinasabi to history repeats itself until we learn the lessons that we need to change our path. We have to learn lessons we need to change our path. Ang nangyayari, minsan takot kaagad tayo, nauuna ang ating kaba, and then we act based on that. Sa akin po, mas maganda is to step back and see. And ang importante nga, given what is given. Given what is given. Baka naman may diskarte pa rin maganda para tayo ay magkaroon ng better investment journey for 2025. Ano ba yung requisites of implementing this effective investment strategy? Ang lagi kong gustong sabihin sa mga tao, think goals. We invest because we have life goals. Financial planning is the management of one's finances to achieve financial goals. Ano bang importante? Finances or financial goals? Yung goals Life goals na matutupad lang kung maganda rin ang pagpapatakbo mo ng pera. So ang importante would be the goals. And think about it. Goals are goals no matter what happens. Kahit hindi na presidente si Trump, after 4 years, hindi na magkakaroon ng mga ganitong problema sa geopolitical tensions, maring iba na. Tuloy pa rin po ang ating life goals Kailangan tayong dumiskarte based on what's happening and we have to focus on our goals. Second, think long term. How will the next 4 years impact us? But beyond the 4 years would be even more important. Kailan ka ba talaga magre-retire? Are you retiring in 4 years? Are you not educating your children in the next 10 years? Aren't you not going into enjoying life's experiences to travel after 8 years? That goes beyond a presidential term. Kailangan po isipin natin ang long-term perspective. And as I tell people to pull back at nare-realize nila yung bigger picture, sometimes things like this can be an opportunity because it all rests on perspective. Alam niyo po, pag minsan ang isang bagay hindi mahal or mura sigon dun sa kanyang totoong value. Hindi. Ang isang bagay nagiging mahal at nagiging mura dahil walang gustong bumili o maraming gustong bumili. Plain and simple. Anything of value, when people want it, prices go up. Anything of value, when people don't want it and no one's buying and many people are selling, prices go down. Yan pong na-experience natin ngayon. I will beg to disagree with certain prices today. Mind-boggling sa pagkamura. Pero the market will always be right because the prices at which stocks are sold today, the prices at which investments are sold today are the right prices because people are willing to part with money and people are willing to get investments at that particular price. However, dadating ba po ang tamang panahon when the correct valuations will be on the table? The answer is yes. It's a matter of time. Pero syempre, hindi yun nangyayari ngayon. Which means, pwedeng opportunity ito. Dahil walang bumibili, mura. Di ba pag gusto natin, ito lang, mamimili tayo ng regalo sa Pasko. Di ba gusto natin nakakamura tayo pag sale? Ito ngayon nakasale, parang walang excited. Lahat umiiwas. So it's better for us to treat this as a perspective issue. Think of it. There are companies out there, hindi ko papangalanan kasi baka mamaya I might get into trouble, but you can do your research. Increase in sales, 25%. Increase in net income, 15%. Year to date ito Talagang pumapalo ang negosyo. Pero ang stock, down by 30%. Di ba parang mismatch yun? Ang ganda ng performance, pero mas mura pa ang presyo. Then, it can be an opportunity. Maring magandang bumili tayo ng mga investments ngayon. Pumosisyon na tayo ngayon. Whether it's in mutual funds, whether it's in direct stocks. And wait till the market corrects their way of thinking about the value of these particular issues. But on top of that, meron din naman akong gustong sabihin pagdating sa diskarte ng diversification. Maaring, yes, aaminin din naman natin, baka may mga merkado na magiging mas payagpag ang performance dahil kay Mr. Trump. O ba't hindi tayo sumali at pumunta na din doon? Para kasali din tayo, hindi naman tayo always on the losing end. And that's the reason why diversification is also very important. This perspective issue is very clear. My friends, ladies and gentlemen, tingnan nyo na lang ito. Di ba? 5.2% weakest in 5 quarters ang Philippine GDP nung third quarter. Tingnan nyo naman itong kabila. PH still among the fastest growing economies in Asia. In fact, second only to India, because 5.2 brings us to about 5.8 year to date. Still very strong. Pero makikita nyo dito, still one of the strongest, pero dito, weakest in 5 quarters. Ang isang statement, magpapakaba sa'yo. Ang isang statement, maaaring bumuhay sa confidence mo. So, it depends on you on what you will get to see. It depends on the angle of the perspective that you're going to have. And mind you, again, this can also translate into losses or opportunities. The truth is, multilateral organizations, including the ADB, the IMF, the World Bank, AMRO, lahat sila consistent. Kung ikukumpara ang Southeast Asia sa mundo, lamang ang growth ng mga bansa in the Southeast Asian region. At ang namamayagpag dyan, isa na tayo. In fact, we're leading the pack when it comes to this particular sector of the world, this particular region of the world. Kasi talaga naman, flat ang global economy, pero sino ba talaga nag-i-struggle? Eh di ba yung advanced economies? Sinong bumubuhat? Emerging markets and developing economies. Eh nasaan ba ang Pilipinas? Nasaan ang Pilipinas? Di ba nandun tayo sa emerging market at developing economies? In fact, if you want to be a little more granular on this, abay talagang emerging and developing Asia bumubuha sa global economy. At nasan tayo doon? At kung talagang titingnan nyo with specifics, may number 2 tayo. Kaya sabihin mo ng okay, pumalya ng kaunti, bumaba tayo sa 5.8 year to date, we're still second only to India. And based on what the market is doing, we are in line, still in line to become the 27th largest economy in 2037. Maniwala po kayo sa hindi, minsan talagang ang kinasasama ng loob ko, kung saan-saan kasi tayo nakatingin, hindi ba? Tinitingnan natin, lagi nating pinapanood at inaantabayanan yung mga Quadcom, yung mga text at screenshots ng ating mga celebrities. Hindi po natin naisip, oportunidad ito, Oportunidad po ito. And I will tell you why I really believe this is real. That in fact, if we might not even be 27, yung top 30 mabigat na yan. Talagang magkakatotoo yan. And why? Ang dami pong reasons at factors. Number 1, resilient domestic consumption. Our strong future economic performance rests on real legs. Tourism, retail, and services expected to stay strong post-COVID. Growth in OFW remittances amidst a slowing economy globally. The OFWs are bringing more OFW remittances. Strategic infrastructure development. Sabay-sabay pong ginagawa lahat yan. Bridges, roads, a subway, train systems. Alam niyo po, baka nararamdaman niyo yung traffic this holiday season. And hopefully, all of these strategic infrastructure will follow through. BPOs with rising tech-driven services. Foreign investments and economic reforms, a stable macroeconomic environment, a robust growth in the digital economy. And number 9, a low interest rate regime which will favor real estate and further consumption. Lahat po ng factors na yan, nangyayari magpapalakas ng ating ekonomiya. Hindi natin nararamdaman ngayon dahil ang feeling natin, medyo lethargic ang ating capital markets. And for good reason. Kasi po, ang totoo naman, we cannot compete with that base of funds na dala ng foreign investors. Ang atin pong retail markets, medyo malayo-layo pa in its capability to carry through the performance of our financial markets. But that's okay. As I've said, these are potential windows of opportunity. Even the most respected financial institutions, ito po, hinango ko ito, kaka-report lang nito. Ito po, fresh na fresh news coming from one of the most respected organizations, Goldman Sachs. Ano sinasabi nila? Overweight sila sa Pilipinas. And why? Valuation is 11 to 12 times PE, and based on the current market movements, bumaba pa ho ito. Itong 2 standard deviation below means, bumaba pa po ito. There is strong domestic consumption. Our GDP is consumption-based. We have resiliency in terms of our trade, and we can withstand FX pressures. Napakaganda po ng ating reserve requirements, better and bigger than ever. We have infrastructure development, as I've mentioned, and natutuwa po sila that we have a heavyweight banking sector. A banking sector that is a lot stronger than the way we saw them in 1997 and even stronger than the way they were in 2008. So mabigat po ang push na yan. And that's the reason why I say this is an opportunity. I call on you to implement a particular investment strategy. Number 1 big move is continue to build your portfolio. Again, our job as investors is to set aside money from what we earn, because wealth is what we keep. It's not what we spend. At pag tayo po ay magtatabi, we have to accumulate and grow what we're setting aside, invest it for a more robust future. I am telling people that we have to continuously build on our portfolio, and I am happy that we're able to build a portfolio at bargain prices. Hindi po ako nagrereklamo na bagsak at mababa ang market. And why do I say that? Because I am not yet into a net deficit spending. I am still earning more than what I spend, which means I am still in an accumulation mode. And when you are in an accumulation mode, what do you need to do? You need to set aside funds in growth positions that, fortunately, are in bargain prices. Ang ipagdadasal ko po ay umakyat ang market pag ako ay pa-retire na. Dahil doon ko kailangan yung pera. Pag mataas yung market ngayon, ano ibig sabihin? I will accumulate at higher prices. Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? Again, ka-RFF, my friends, perspective issue. Di ba maganda nag-iipon ka for your child's education? Mura. Nag-iipon ka for your retirement? Mura. Nag-iipon ka for your nth honeymoon? Mura. Over time, pag nagmahal yan, doon ka mag-harvest. Mas mahirap po yung habang nag-iipon ka, mataas ang market, tas kung kailan ka mag-harvest, saka bumaba. I want people to wake up to that idea. This is what we should want to happen. We're not supposed to feel bad about things. Second, think intrinsic value. There are great companies managed by great executives. They're doing very well. They're dominating markets. They are earning money. They are growing sales. If the market is not pricing them correctly, it is up for us. Sabi nga ni Warren Buffett, who quotes his idol Benjamin Graham. Si Mr. Market, hindi siya tama all the time. You will have to get by with what Mr. Market offers you. Because there are times that he is not a reasonable determinant of prices. It is up to you to take advantage of it. Kung kailan niya binibigay ng mura, dapat dun mo tinatanggap. But that remains to be a call on selectivity. I need to be selective. Kailangan pumili din ako ng mga kumpanya na may moat sa kanilang business, maganda ang hawak sa kanilang industriya, very strong brands. And because of that, yan ang mga tatayaan ko because dadating ang panahon, magiging tama din naman ang presyo ng mga yan. Hindi ba? Sentiments change. Always remember this. Ang damdamin po nagbabago, but fundamental values remain. Sentiments change. When people become optimistic, prices go up. And prices go up based on fundamental values. Di ba po, ilang beses kong sinabi sa inyo ito, yung statement ni John Templeton, bull markets are born on pessimism. They grow on skepticism. They mature on optimism and they die on euphoria. We will always have to be ahead of the curve. But there is a call that I have for you, and that is to diversify. Gone were the days that we have to keep ourselves local. Hindi na po eh. Alam nyo ba, for as low as $2,000, you can come up with a participation in global markets. Nandyan po ang Sun Life World Voyager Fund. Ang rate of return po ng Sun Life World Voyager Fund, nasa 20%. And they also have a World Equity Index Fund. For as low as 2,000 pesos, you can participate in a World Equity Index Fund that yields, as of now, yields 25%. Tapos ang dagdag po ng mga yan, $1,000, $100. Pwedeng-pwede nating palaguin. Now we have this chance. You know, alam niyo po nung panahon ko, kailangan milyon-milyon ng pera mo para makapag-invest ka sa labas. At natatakot ka pa dahil hindi mo naman alam ang ginagawa mo. Ngayon, pag binigay mo ito sa SLAMC, kanila pong view is global. Meron silang investment desks all over financial markets, all over the world. And they have the money, the base of funds, to carry what I call financial clout. Abi, $2,000, tas pagdagdag mo, $100. Dito sa kabila, 2,000 pesos, magdadagdag ka, 1,000 pesos. Why not? It is your chance today to be diversified and even thematic. Di ba? Yun ang problema natin, hindi tayo nakakapag-invest sa technology. Alam nyo, pag nasa World Equity Index feeder kayo, malaki ang base nyo na nasa Amerika. Malaki ang base nyo na nakataya sa technology. AI is the in thing today. If you're in the Philippines, where can you invest in technology and AI? Wala pa po ang GCash. Baka next year pa. So, think about it. If you have the chance to deal with thematics, why not? Global markets, exposures to more sophisticated markets, yes. Lalakas ang Amerika dahil kay Donald Trump, pwede tumaya na rin tayo doon. But the more important thing as well is this, that you're invested in stronger currencies. Let's face it, the Philippine peso is a weak currency. Over time, your yields will be erased by the loss in value of our currency. So dapat po, may portion din tayo ng ating investable fund na nasa US dollars or other stronger currencies. That's very important. But as I say and push diversification, wag po natin kakalimutan ang Philippine market kasi nandiyan pa din ang value Nandiyan pa din ang value. At sayang naman kung hindi mo matayaan habang mura. But as I say this, ladies and gentlemen, we at Ramver Financials, we're partners with Atram. Alam niyo ba, si Atram, may Alpha Opportunity Fund. Kahit ganong kasagwa ang market, Atram is yielding 22%. O yung stock market portfolio mo ba, kumita ng 22% this year? Kung hindi pala ganun, bakit ka pa nagpapakahirap sa kapipili ng stocks, sa alta presyo ng kababasa ng kung ano-ano? Kung binigay na lang pala natin kay Atram for a minimum amount of 1,000 pesos. Ang yield nila is 22%. And if you want something that's, a little more conservative than that, nandyan din po si PhilEquity. The PhilEquity Dividend Yield Fund is netting 15% this year. 15%. So notwithstanding a market that's really challenging, fund managers are doing great performance in their funds. Our job in Ramper Financials is to guide you to an investment journey that is hassle-free, less of a risk, and more importantly, focused on what has to happen. You doing what you do best and setting aside funds to be invested by people who know how to do it, have the wherewithal to do it, and have the track record to do it. Whether you do it straight with our investment advisors or you do it through Ramper Online. Because all of these funds are available except for World Voyager. All of the funds that I've mentioned are available in Ramper Online. Alam niyo po, it's high time we know what to do. 2025 is around the corner. We will have to set things up so that we're ready for another year in our investment journey. Again po, this is Rex Mendoza from Ramper Financials, and I wish you a very Merry Christmas and an ever prosperous New Year. Magsama po tayo, harapin natin ang challenges in investing in 2025, and let's look forward to more prosperous times ahead. Happy holidays and God bless you all.